What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Emerald Grappling Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Murphy. Today, I'm joined by Oisin McCabe. He's the first triple threat black belt that I've had on the podcast. So he holds the rank of black belt in karate, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and Judo. He is the owner and head coach of Compound Martial Arts, and he's a black belt under Andy Ryan. Oisin, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Really nice to be here.
Awesome. And for the first question I have for you, maybe for anyone who doesn't know you, you can tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and how you got involved with martial arts.
Sure. So I got involved in martial arts the way a lot of kids do. A couple of mothers get together and they try and find an activity for the lads to do. I started in karate in Belgrove Primary School, just down there in Clontarf, which was where I come from originally. And a group of us started. I think 6 of us started. One of us stayed. And that was kind of how I got into the karate side of things. It was originally 2 days a week, and then that reduced down to 1 day a week. I stayed with that for years until I was 18, and was moving on to other things, which turned out to be jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, other stuff as well. I got into the jiu-jitsu side of things specifically. I was interested in grappling because I had a book when I was younger that had like 2 pages dedicated to all these different martial arts, and one of them was judo. There was a page on jiu-jitsu, and it was like something out of Black Belt magazine. You know, it's like some lad doing a standing wrist lock, and even as a kid, I was like, that looks like a load of shite. But the judo one was, I think it was a sumigashi, a big over the head throw, like illustrated in the book step by step. I thought that was cool. There wasn't any judo clubs around that I knew of. Turns out there was one in Leicester, which is actually where my jiu-jitsu coach Andy Ryan originally started training himself. But we didn't hear about it, didn't know about it. So karate was the next best thing. Still got to wear the uniform, looked cool. And with the jiu-jitsu, I had moved into kind of more full contact martial arts from a training perspective, especially when I was 15. I started training with a fella who was a coach in a strength and conditioning gym who happened to be a kickboxer too. So I started doing sessions with him. And then I went to college, and my interest was kind of piqued by that full contact switch. And one of my friends, for my 16th birthday, David, he got me Ultimate Knockouts 3, I want to say it was. And that was my first real exposure to MMA, where I was seeing footage of it and immediately was going, wow, this is amazing. So then I started looking more into MMA, found out about the jiu-jitsu thing and the connection. And when I went to DCU, I went from Carlo IT. I was there for 2 years doing a sports or health and physiology certificate, and then moved to DCU to sports science. And when I got there, there was a martial arts club, just that was the name. I was founding a kickboxing club, and I was kind of interested to go what type of martial arts it is. So I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks into the term, I decided to head down and see what was up. And it turned out to be Andy Ryan from Team Ryano. He was teaching a jiu-jitsu class. It was the last one he taught. It was one of his blue belts then, Mick O'Hagan, that sort of was given the reins and took it on from there. But yeah, I mean, regularly there'd be 3 of us on the mats, 4 of us on the mats. I got absolutely bashed on my first day. I've said it before. My first class, I'm a black belt in karate at this point. An okay black belt in karate, I think. And I was doing rolling for the first time. And there was a young woman that I was training with. And in hindsight, I probably should have tried harder from a respect perspective. But I kind of was like taking it easy. And I was like, I'm not going to, do too much here. And she passed my guard. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? She grabbed my wrists, underhooked, Americana, almost took my arm off my body. And I was just looking at going, oh my God, I can't believe how vulnerable I am. And I think a lot of people who are involved in martial arts, they have that moment when they first come to jiu-jitsu, and there's 2 roads you can go down. There's the, I don't like that. That didn't feel good. And then when your friends are asking you, what do you think about jiu-jitsu? It goes, it's a bit shy. It only works on the ground. I'd like to see them try and take me down. Like there's still a bit of that in Ireland, amazingly, but it was really, really the main thing. I remember talking to kickboxers, really good kickboxers, and that was the way they put it. They go, I'd like to see them take me down. And in hindsight now, it's like, you will. Easily. So it's 2 ways you can go. That's one way. And I went the other way. I got completely and utterly obsessed with it. I said, I have to get good at this. I cannot go on in my life and know that this door is just wide open and, you know, I don't have any skill set here. So I got stuck into it in DCU, started traveling out and training in Team Ryano when it was in Baldwin Industrial Estate at the time. The 2-story gym with the sauna in the ring and back in the day. And yeah, it's been nonstop ever since. I've been off the mats myself from a rolling and training perspective for several years at a time with various injuries. But I've always been on the mats coaching in that time as well. So I think that was 2005 or 2006, but I think it might have been 2005. So if it is, I'm 20 years now, over 20 years in jiu-jitsu, and that's how I got there. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Your how you started was very similar to myself. When I did my very first jiu-jitsu class, I was put with a guy that was probably half my size, really small, and I remember thinking to myself when we got to the rolling part, like, this is going to be easy. Like, I'll just throw this person. And same thing, got me to the ground and did a Kimura, I think like 10 times in like 5 minutes. And same path as you, I was like, either A, I'm going to walk away from it, or B, I got to learn why this worked. And I did. And it's just crazy how, like, over the years, you hear a lot of people, they're very similar. When they try it for the first time, they're just like, their mind's blown.
Blown. Absolutely blown. But for me as well, it wasn't like it was a good small blue belt that got their hands on me. It was another total beginner. You know, she had just been training for 3 weeks and I'd been training for no weeks. And that was enough in that situation as far as knowledge was concerned. You know, sure, I had no idea what was going on at all. So, yeah, it just absolutely blew my mind and just incredibly exciting as well. Like, I've been lucky enough to go back and start again as a beginner repeatedly. So I did the whole karate thing, then was doing the kickboxing side of things, and came at that as a beginner. I remember my coach at the time introduced me to his coach, who was a very, very good kickboxer. And he just happens to go, he goes, yeah, this is Oisin, you know, good backhand. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is good. Years later, I realized that what he was saying was I had nothing else. And I said it to him, he goes, yeah, that's true. I think I have no left hook, no jab, no anything, right? I just didn't have any of those skills from karate. But from karate, I'd spent years with a hand on the hip, throwing like this, so I could throw a good rear straight. So I got to start in kickboxing as a beginner. I found jiu-jitsu, got to start as a beginner. And then I went and started judo effectively as a beginner as well. Like, obviously there's that little crossover with the stand-up and stuff. But I started that as a beginner, as the best. Like, I was trying to tell guys, like, there's nothing better than being a beginner. Like, you want to really relish that time. It's not to be rushed through. It's to be really enjoyed, because you can't go backwards in the sport you're doing. You can only go and find something else that's kind of somewhat similar or somewhere in the same family and start again. So yeah, it's a cool thing about the martial arts, you know, being a beginner.
Absolutely. And Andy Ryan's gym, Team Ryano, they're known for nearly having like double black belts. You'll always say a majority of his black belts in jiu-jitsu also hold one in judo. How did you get started in judo? Was that something that you kind of wanted to aim for?
So I talked about this. Andy never said anything to me at all. I was doing the majority of my training at that time with Stephen O'Toole, who was one of Andy's black belts. And Stephen is a huge fan of judo. Like, he'd just be talking about it all the time in class and stuff and different moves. And he's shown his Ouchi-gari and his Kochi-gari. Any of the lads who train with Stephen will know what I mean. So he's showing the different moves and so enthusiastic about it. And I had that kind of realization where I was like, you know what? In Team Ryano, this is a double black belt kind of thing. I am seeing that connection. I appreciate that connection. I value how powerful that is to have that skill set and have that confidence on the feet. So partly because I knew it was good for my game, I decided that I was going to go and pursue the judo. And another part was I just felt that was important to do. I didn't, you know, I'm not saying not having a black belt in judo doesn't make you like a Team Ryano black belt or something like that, but I just had seen that kind of pedigree and I was like, you know what, it's something I can do, so why not? I went looking and I found something that worked, and I said, there's no reason not to. I may as well just go and get a black belt in judo and hopefully pick up a couple of skills along the way as well. But I was lucky. I found Alan Martin, who runs Judo Ireland, the organisation. And Alan was running classes in Joey's school, but they started at a time that worked for me. The problem was, because I was coaching full time, all the other judo classes ran at the time that I would have to coach my own guys. So Alan's class, I think, was maybe something like 4 o'clock. So I was able to do that class and then jump on the motorbike and straight away get up to wherever I was coaching, and just, that was a regular day. So it was either 1 or 2 days a week I'd do that. And immediately, like, the technical side of that, Alan is a very technical coach. something I kind of appreciate even more now that I'm experienced myself than I did at the time. You know, in judo can be a very frustrating experience. You can do a move and the coach says, no, you have to do this, pull your hand straight. And you're like, I am pulling my hand straight. And you'll do it again. And he goes, no, you have to pull your hand straight. It's like, I am pulling my hand straight, bro. Right, what are you asking me for here? And so I kind of appreciate it now. But a couple of throws, like Coach Gary specifically, I remember learning that from Alan and then going up to the sessions in Team Ryano where we just stand up as well. Only I'm doing the extra bit with the judo. And it just works so well, like so smooth and so consistent. I hit so many of them that I was like, you know what, this is a superpower. Like these guys, they just don't know what I know. I have special knowledge here by having a bit of judo. So I kind of really got inspired by that and motivated. And I developed a love for it because I actually was kind of disparaging about judo for years. We had a judo club in DCU. I wasn't part of it, but there was a bit of rivalry there over who got to use the mats at different times. And I had a bit of a run-in with some of the lads who were organising that particular club. Wasn't particularly friendly, and it gave me a bit of a, shouldn't have, but it gave me a little bit of a skewed view on judo. It was one of those like, yeah, you look judo, but what are you going to do when you take me down then? Like it's just, I was young and dumb, and now I'm old and dumb. So I had this kind of negative connotation with judo in my head, so I'm just so happy I did it because it's such an unbelievable martial art. Like the beauty of judo, you'll see me still, like I probably post more little slow motion highlights of judo on my Instagram than I do of jiu-jitsu. I just think it's art in motion, it really is. But yeah, that's how I got started. So inspired by Andy and the Team Ryano connection, inspired by Stephen, just never stopping talking about it. Yeah, so I'm very, very happy I went down that road and did it.
Awesome. And did you feel comfortable in the newaza, the pinning and the submission, obviously coming from a jiu-jitsu background?
Yeah, that's a million miles ahead. When you're having a conversation with different people, if I'm talking to a judo guy who's just a judo guy, he'd be like, well, no, the newaza in judo, man, it's, you know, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. And I'm like, look, we're not even in the same conversation. Jiu-jitsu is miles ahead. However, judo is miles ahead in pinning. So the Osikomi waza of judo, I explain it to people like this. I go, you get a guy who's in the final of the Olympics, who started judo at 5 years old, right? Takashi whatever, right? You get a guy 5 years old, and this is the moment. He's there. He's spent 20 years of his life dedicated to this full time, and he's pinned. If there's a way to get out, do you not think that lad is going to know it or going to make it happen? That's how good they are at pinning in judo. In judo, if they pin you, we could be here to the end of time, and they will dig you up and they will find his skeleton on top of your skeleton, still pinned. So, yeah, I think judo's pinning is next level. I think in NoGi, there's something to be said for it as well, but obviously wrestling pinning in NoGi, it makes sense as well. It's exactly the same example. Not some great high-level guy who's training for 20 years is not going to let himself get pinned. They know what they're doing. We are rubbish at pinning in jiu-jitsu. Shite at it. I just don't think people realize that. It's only when you get more experienced and maybe you have to slow your own game down a little bit as you get older or whatever, that's when you start to realize, you know, oh, I can't pin to save my life. Yeah, but in general in judo, like the newaza side of things, until you're at that higher level and guys really know what they're doing with the pinning, night and day. Like jiu-jitsu, you run through it. I kind of game the system a little bit in judo because I'd be going for my my sacrifice throw or something like that, especially in the early days of competing in judo. I go for the sacrifice throw and oh no, it didn't work. Well, here we are now, and I'd be attacking arms and attacking, you know, and I'd be winning matches that way. Thankfully managed to get a few hit bombs by throw later on in the higher belts. But yeah, I think the pinning is next level in the gi. I think the submission game is dominated by jiu-jitsu. The one area, you know, that actually exists in judo that I haven't really seen in jiu-jitsu is so senkaku is triangle in judo in Japanese, right? And they will hit those from almost anywhere, tight as well. The rules of judo are, and especially with the Kodokan style, the rules of judo are when you're throwing, you only have a very limited amount of time to show the referee that you're on something. You got to be on something, on a submission, like choke is in, arm is on. Otherwise, the referee will just go, mate, stand back up, boom, hajime, away you go. And so I think in judo, they have this great skill set that we don't have in jiu-jitsu to the same extent, where they're just able to snipe moves from almost anything. And they do this with triangles in a way that I haven't seen in jiu-jitsu at all. Like they'd be like attacking a front headlock scenario with a triangle, if that makes sense. So like they'd be like pulling lads in over their leg. If you think like, do you remember Luke Rockhold versus Tim Boach? Did you ever see that fight where Tim shot a takedown, Luke rolled him through, so Tim is on the single leg, and rather than fight it, Luke just pulls him in, brings the leg behind the armpit and just locks up a triangle, an inverted triangle or whatever it's called. And like that kind of stuff in judo from a submission perspective, I think that's a little bit of an untapped area for jiu-jitsu that we might see in the future. That's pretty cool. But the stand-up game is just night and day. The cool thing is the Judo Ireland organization that Alan runs, they have always, since I have trained with them, which is maybe it might even be 10 years now, but they always have had leg grabs. So in Olympic judo, kind of IJF, this kind of stuff, they have eliminated leg grabs. They eliminated lots of things. So remember Kimbo Slice? Yeah. Right. His cousin is a guy called Raddy Ferguson, very famous judo Olympian from the States, big, jacked. Right, and he would just blast double leg lads in the Olympics. You know, some fella from Japan would come out and be like, "Okay, how'd you may?" And boom, you start going through them. So they banned leg grabs, and there was other ways that leg grabs were allowed as well. And they've always kept it in Judo Ireland. So from a jiu-jitsu perspective, where we're totally allowed to grab the legs, it's not a problem. We're allowed to body lock. We're allowed to do all these things. You can't body lock in Judo Ireland now. That's still a no. But that's really the only difference. You can do all these other throws like singles, that kind of stuff. There's slight little tweaks on the rules. Like you have to set it up with something that's not a leg grab. So you can't just shoot to a single. You'd have to attack a foot sweep. And as the guy defends that, take the leg. And then you just run the pipe or do whatever single you want. So I think that I've always coached judo that way. I've always learned judo that way. So from a jiu-jitsu perspective, the crossover it's seamless. So I'm very confident on my feet when it comes in the gi, especially when it comes to standing on the feet. Like it's it's a nice feeling to have. You kind of think to yourself, I'll be all right here. And if you're not, you're not all right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's a load. I always tell people, you'll see even on a black belt level in jiu-jitsu, guys will go out and they'll try and take grips. And the defense is this, right? They'll do like flappy arms to try and fight the grips. Yeah. And if I'm on the other side of that, I immediately know I have you. Like this is not going to be contested, the stand-up portion of this game, because someone who knows what they're at is going to be much more confident in breaking the grip or defending the grip or countering on your grip. So I think it's very beneficial to have that skill set. It gives you great confidence on the feet, and especially in jiu-jitsu. You don't need to be great at it. You don't need to go and be a judo Olympian, but you have a decent grounding of takedowns and that. I think it's a huge benefit. Even the pull guard. Think about it. Like if you want to get the right grips for your guard pull, you can't be shitting the bed when you're trying to get those grips that some guy might bury you with a huge throw. So I think just that little bit of takedowns from the judo is massively beneficial, and the style that we do and teaching in the gym and stuff, I think is perfect for it as well. So I think now the world body, like Kodokan, as far as I know, the Japanese Judo Federation have brought back in leg grabs now, and it comes downhill, trickles downstream. So I'd say leg grabs will actually come back into international Olympic level judo in the next while, and we'll be sitting there having gone, oh yeah, we've been doing this for years, it'd be nice. So yeah, I think getting the judo train now is the message when it comes to jiu-jitsu.
There's two areas in judo that's always like interested me. The first one is Kuzushi, because I find when I was first starting off in jiu-jitsu, I did judo for 2 years afterwards because I wanted to get better at the takedowns. And it wasn't until you're doing the classes you realize like you really do need that off balance. Like you try throwing someone who's anchored on the ground, it's not happening. You'll either pull a muscle in yourself or they're just going to like counter it fierce easy. And that always interests me. And I find it's something that a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, especially in the gi, it's something they overlook. Yeah. And even footwork and uchikomi's unbelievable. Like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But that's the breakthrough though that guys have in jiu-jitsu. Like when you get a guy who just ascends to that next level in jiu-jitsu, like whether it's at blue or purple or whatever, where he goes from being just one of the lads to being the lads just killing everybody. He just does whatever he wants. It's usually not because he knows more moves. It's because he's figured out how to lower your defenses to what he's trying to get. And that's Kuzushi. So it's just less dynamic. So when you're grounded, it's harder to see. So therefore it's harder to learn. So it's guys will go years and years. If they don't have a coach in their ear telling them this is what you need to do, like they'll find it out themselves, but they could be 10 years in the game and finally it starts to click, But it's all about the combinations and it is Kuzushi, it's off balancing, you know. Let's say even something like take the modern meta like K-guard, right? So Charles Oliveira was on this before anyone, right? So Charles Oliveira in the UFC, he was going armbar, triangle, K-guard, backside 50-50, knee bar attempt. Guy stands up, he's like, let's go. I'm Charles Oliveira. So it's that one attack creates a defense and a reaction that leads into the other attack, So like, it's cool you're doing that bit of judo because you probably have an appreciation of that now that, you know, peers of yours in jiu-jitsu won't probably click with them until a couple of years down the road. And they'll be like, why is Aaron killing us? Why is this guy got so good? You know, these little concepts is what makes the difference. So I always say, I try and do it as coach. I know the same techniques as everyone else. My job as a coach is to understand the concepts that maximizes people's progress. And that is a big one. I think Kuzushi is huge. Cut that bit out, don't tell anyone.
We'll keep that to ourselves.
Yeah.
But even using it like for even setting up ones, like you will always try to do maybe a kochi and like, you know, they're just going to back step. But then there's Kuzushi, and then you can go in with your ogashi, then you can do like your kosotos, anything, or even using sasai. Like that's such a nice one for setting up like nice little throws and getting their balance broken. But I find like a lot of people, they just try and go in for the one takedown and they're so fixated.
See, you get away with that though in jiu-jitsu. Like, you know, like I have lads in the gym that have a good hip throw, for example. And I'll say to them in the background, I'll be like, look, man, here in the gym, you need to be hitting a coach, a Gary, snap, get to your underhook, boom, 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 you know, and then work you there. I said, we're competing on Saturday. Just walk out, get an underhook and just bury the guy. And they just do it literally exactly like, Grant, gotcha, coach, no problem. And they'll just go and do it because the other fella just has no idea of the gripping and no idea because the stand-up is not the game. It's the maddest thing with jiu-jitsu. And I love this because I've lived off this for years, but it's the maddest thing with jiu-jitsu is there's guys that don't train takedowns that will stay standing in competition. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I does because I've been there and I've been the guy. You know, where like you come out and you're like, okay, I'm going to move with this fella and I don't want to pull guard right away, or, you know, maybe he'll pull guard. There's that hope that you might get top position because he decides to pull and he's not that good. So you can, you know, you feel like you're in a good position. But because of that, it dries up a bit of purple belt and beyond. I think purple belt guys are a bit more confident in their game. If they want to pull, they pull because they know their guard is good. But definitely at white and blue belt, lads will just hang around where they shouldn't be. It's like, you know, being the wrong side of town. You know, so what are you doing here? Like they'll just be standing and they've no takedowns. Where you're looking at them going, what are you doing? You don't have a clue what you're doing on the feet. And next thing, boom, you're like, oh God. It's not a surprise. So it's another thing as a coach. Like if you have guys have a bit of takedown game, you just say to them, be aggressive, like get out there. Because guys will give you a window. Their coaches after telling them, you don't know what you're doing. You're shit at takedowns. You should go out there and you should pull guard. No question about it. And they'll go, okay, yeah, gotcha, coach. Say it back to me. Okay, yeah, gotcha. And they'll walk out and still the voice in their head will be like, well, I won't pull yet. I don't want to pull right away. And they'll give you 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So if you go hard at guys with a bit of takedown skill for those 10 or 15 seconds, it's just an easy 2 waiting for you there all the time. Like you really do, you pick up so many points that just shouldn't be yours. And that can be the difference between winning or losing the match. So yeah, having that bit of takedowns, man. Good. Judo, wrestling. Yeah, get it all.
Yeah, it would be great to see more of it. Like I'm
going to do 2 days a week here. We're knocking through this wall here. We're putting like a goalpost size hole in the wall behind me. And we're going to have a second mat area, smaller but similar size unit to this, like just a different shape. So we're going to have a second mat area in there. That'd be mat 2. So it means I can run side-by-side classes. So I'm going to have 2 judo sessions in here a week, which would be kind of like takedowns for jiu-jitsu judo sessions. We'll do like the kata stuff as well to some degree, but yeah, I really value it. I think it's a massively overlooked thing. And you know what? All these lads coming from the favela in Brazil that are your superstar that you're watching, a lot of them, look at the belts they're wearing. They're not wearing Tatami's latest and greatest. They're wearing I was wearing one today. They're wearing some Mizuno black belt or Sakura black belt. That is their judo black belt that they got. They give way more of a shit about judo and then about jiu-jitsu. And then they'll tape around it, you know, Octavio Suvas. What's your man's name? Oh, that's killing me now. Eddie Cummings. Oh, it's not Octavio. It's not Octavio. Susan. No, that's who fought Cron Gracie. Anyway, there was a fella. Augusto Mendes. We got it. Augusto Mendes. That's where the style started, where he turned up with his judo black belt of the worlds, and they were like, you have to have a bar in it. And he goes, yeah, no worries. Gets out his white tape and just tapes the bar. That's where the white bar came from. Yeah. And then everyone starts doing it, but all the lads are like, you can wear your judo black belt? Let's go.
And like, you will see a lot of people do take a lot of pride in like the judo black belt, and it's a hard sport like to earn it, especially when you have to do the randori and the competition to get the points to go for
I
it.
love that. I love that. That's something, you know, people talk about jiu-jitsu as being the hardcore kind of, you know, whatever. You don't have
Judo.
to compete.
To get a belt.
You know, a lot of people will give black belts to people who've never competed in the sport, right? And you, in my mind, you better be fucking unbelievable if that's the case. You know, if you aren't going to compete to show that your jiu-jitsu can work, then you better be just absolutely mopping the floor with the top competitors in your gym. You got to be showing it in the gym setting that you're just a different level, or you're absolutely unquestionably that level. So yeah, that's the thing with judo. You have to compete. There's no like, I don't want to compete. Cool.
You're not going to get your next belt.
Yeah, that's great. Good for you. You know, you just keep turning up class there, and we'll keep working on your Gonasen no kata. And, you know, so I love that. I just love that. That it's just, the only time, it's what, 45, is it? Is after 45, they can start giving out black belts without competition? Brilliant.
That is kind of understandable, because when you're getting to that higher
No,
age,
that's how it should be, 100%. Because you have some fucking prick that comes up to you who's 26 years old in the prime of his life, absolute athlete, and he's like, I don't want to compete, but, you know, I feel like I'm due my next belt. You're like, shut your mouth. What are you talking about? Doesn't make any sense at all. So it is mad, like, you know. You'd be like, you can wait. When you're 46, I'll give you a belt. 26 now, yeah. So it's your choice. You got 20 years to make the decision. Are you going to compete and show that you are the belt that you say you are, or are you going to not? And if the answer is no, then cool, you can wait. You know, I've saying this only. I'd like talk about this. Are we still filming? Are we?
Yeah, it's filming.
The thing with the like, where is it going? The thing with the competition side of things as well with the judo, it's like it's like that quality control. I try and say to the guys here, we have a syllabus here in the gym, right? And syllabus is kind of a dirty word in jiu-jitsu, because people think of traditional martial arts and guys can just tick the box in the syllabus. It's not about ticking a box. It's quality control. I might have some guy who's an athlete who comes in, who's, you know, pretty athletic. He's giving people problems. Shite at jiu-jitsu. Terrible. Doesn't know his, you know, elbow from his arsehole. And I can't be giving that guy a blue belt. No, well, I can, but I won't. All right? Don't care how long he's here. I need someone to show me that they have a grounding of the fundamentals, that we are speaking the same language. When I say to you, armbar, you're not like, what's
Going
that?
for a leg.
Yeah, you know. So that's why we have a syllabus. It's quality control that as guys are coming up through the level. And the syllabus is, I always try and tell guys, I'm not out here trying to teach you the least important stuff first. Think about it logically. What am I going to teach you first? The stuff you need to know. And then your berimbolos, which are great. I like an old berimbolo myself. But all that stuff is stuff that you add on top of the foundation. And I think that's the benefit of having a syllabus. And it's clear communication as well. I've said recently to the guys, because we have like a sea of just ridiculously good blue belts, right? I named a few of them before we were doing the thing. I won't name them now because I don't want to give them the credit. We have a sea of just ridiculously good blue belts, right? But all of them are under 2 years of training, under 2 years of blue belt, you know? So I've set a rule now in the gym where it's 2 to 3 years minimum before you can move to another belt in this gym. 2 to 3 years minimum. Different in juniors. In juniors, grey belt should be much earlier than it is in a lot of clubs. A lot of clubs, like some lads are white belt for 3 years, tired white belt, killing other kids. Like grey belt should be a maximum of a year, like unless there's some crazy mitigating circumstances. Somebody broke that leg and was out for 6 months, or, you know, it should be a maximum of a year, I think. I think the IBJJF does something similar, and I'm not necessarily in agreement with everything they do, but I think they're on the right track there, because you have to balance it for kids. You can't have some white belt going in, like we were seeing in grappling industries there, lads pulling out mad moves in a white belt division. Like, this lad is not picking that up in his first 6 months of training. This kid has been on the mats for probably a year and a half or 2 years. He's, you know, so, and it kills the other kids and their participation. And that's the only thing as coaches we should give a shit about when it comes to junior martial arts. It's the only thing. It should be that the kids are involved in the sport. Now, what makes that happen, whether it's them winning and stuff, that's all great. But we have to look at other kids as well. You can't just look at your own. because they need someone to compete against. Like I'll go off a mad one on that, an absolute tangent. So I'm gonna cut that right there for posterity's sake. The thing with the blue belts. So I've said to them, I'm saying it's 2 to 3 years minimum. I said if you're on the mats here 5 days a week, right, and you're just putting it in and you're training hard, you're almost training like a pro. This is a sport where it's an amateur sport, but you can have a full-time job and train like a pro. Because one, you can, like the gym's around the corner, you can come down like 5 days a week, whatever. And two, because pros it's such a physical sport. You can't be training 7 hours a day. Some lads be like, I train 7 hours a day. No, you don't. Like you might watch footage for a couple of hours. You might do a light run or something like that. Guys, you're pumping those hours up a little bit. I think realistically, you're probably doing 2 to 3 live hours of a day, and that's probably mid-intensity. There's nobody out there that's rolling balls to the wall hard for 3 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. So I try and tell the lads, I go, look, 2 to 3 years, the lower end of that is if you're 5 days a week, you're training super consistently, you're showing the progression. I don't care how hard you're trying. I care, that's a given, shouldn't need to coach people's effort. I'm not there to reward you for trying hard. I'm there to reward you for producing good jiu-jitsu through your efforts. That's what the belt system is for, in my opinion. And so I say the last 2 to 3 years, because I've got guys now that you could absolutely put them in purple belt and they'd start doing some serious damage. But I want them to be looking beyond that. I don't want them to be the king of, let's say, the king of grappling industries, which is a great competition, by the way. And because the experience, that's part of our little secret here, is that we've done so many of them that we've got guys who have well over 100 competition matches and they're only on the mats for 2 years. And you can't, that's such a beneficial thing to have, So I don't want them to be the king of grappling industries. I want them to, be targeting the Irish Open. I want them to be looking at the IBJJF Irish Nationals or traveling, doing the London IBJJF, right? Then working towards the Europeans and the majors, right? We're in the majors for the first time there last year. Looking at Euros, Worlds, Pan Ams, and genuinely looking at those going, I'm going to go and win that. That's the target. There's no reason that they can't. They have everything they need. They have the coaching, they have the facility, they have the people around them. So yeah, that's for me 2 to 3 years, because it gives people the time to get to the level without the coach pulling the rug out. I've done that in the past where I've actually promoted guys just that little bit too early because they get really good in the room. And I'm like, oh man, we're going to move you to purple, we're going to move you to brown or whatever. And I'm like, if I had given them 6 months in hindsight, if I given them another 6 months, their game would have matured in that belt level and they would have gone from having a couple of good days to just being one of the best guys in the country. And the motivation that gives a guy to then push on into the next level, I think I've pulled that away from guys in the past. I've tried to move them up too quick because as a coach, we're a young team as well. I want to see black belts and brown belts and purple belts and blue belts spread around the mats and all that. But I have to put what's best for my guys and girls first. It can't be what's best for the club. It has to be what's best for each individual, person. Weirdly, I know it seems like it should be the other way around, but I think what's best for the club is what's best for the individual people. So I have to take that in the case by case. So I say 2 to 3 years now, so there's no arguments. I had a lad come in earlier on. I had not set this rule about 5 weeks ago, and I'm very open as a coach. I talked to all the guys, so I was like, look, I'm looking at you for a jump to purple. I want your feedback on it. What do you think? And I've had some guys come to me and they've gone, no. They've gone, I've got work to do here at blue. They're really motivated. So they're going, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to smash these fellas. I'm going to win this. Right. Love that. That's the answer I want to hear because it's motivation. They're on it. They're switched on. They're bringing that energy. That's what I need. And one of the guys came back to me earlier on today and he goes, I've thought about it. Yeah, no, I think I'll make the move of the purple. And I was like, yeah, too late. I said, I've since made the decision for you. Because he's not even 2 years at blue, but it's really good. But it's not even 2 years. So I'm like, why not take the next 6 months and let's dominate? Aim to dominate. Don't aim to take part. Don't aim to win a few. Aim to dominate where everybody's going, man, he's in the division? It's going to be a tough day. Then let's move to purple. Because they train hard enough that they can achieve that within a reasonable time frame. You get other guys who be like, you'll run into them and they're at every major. They're there over and over, or like big tournaments, and they've been at the same belt level for 8 years. 6 years, 7 years, something like that. And you're like, you know what? We're starting to get into the realms of sandbagging a little bit here now. You know, a conversation has to be either this ain't for you if you've tried for this long and you still haven't reached the level that you're trying to get to, or we're kind of starting to sandbag a bit. I hate sandbagging. Something that really, really bothers me. And that's probably why I've moved guys too early in the past, is because I'm so against it that it's almost like it's an overcorrection. So I'm trying to get the balance right now as a coach to give my guys the best chance, where I'm putting them in, I'm going, let's get after it. Let's use that first year. I talk about the belts as a season, right? I think the belts I cared when I was coming up, so I appreciate it's very hard to sell this, but I just don't think people should care about the belts. I'm trying to talk to guys now about weight. I'm like, what weight class are you around?
I would be between lightweight and middleweight.
Okay, so middleweight.
No, I can make lightweight.
There's no between lightweight, but
yeah,
depends when we're on it. But so if I was coaching you, right, and let's say you're like lightweight and you've been training for a while and you're kind of taking it serious, I wouldn't be talking to you about belts. I'm talking to you about weight. I'm like, anybody that comes in this gym or any gym you go to that's a lightweight, you want to make sure that I'm not trying to be the guys that go out there, bash them or anything like that, but I'm like, you want to go out there and you want to put a good shift in with them. You want to really be like, can I beat this guy? It's irrelevant what his belt is. He's a human being. He's got 2 arms, 2 legs, right? Same, whatever, like same attributes of being a human being. The weight is what matters, right? It's not the belt. The belt is there to avoid guys who've been training for 10 years going and just killing people who are starting. That's what the belts are there to kind of separate, and then it's motivation for people moving forward. But I think once guys are serious about this sport, it's the weight that matters. And we're seeing that more and more, because look at the likes of the ADCC trials, stuff like that. You're getting these guys who are purple belts, blue belts. A fella there, he was in the Euros last year. He won ADCC trials. He's from Banditos.
Go.
Yeah, right. And I had some of the lads were sort of elbowing me in Rome last year, saying, oh, check out this lad kind of thing. And I was looking at him going, I was like, you lads give him a run for his money. No question. I mean it. They would. And next thing you know, 12 months later, this lad is there winning ADCC trials. I think he's a purple belt. Yeah. 17 or something, is he? Or
16, 17.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, I think with the right mindset, that's what happens. Lads just go, you know what? It's skills. It's not the belt. It's not whatever. Fuck the belts. Right? My job as a coach is to give people the belt when the time is right. Right? I'm not there trying to give it to someone to make them feel good. I'm not trying to give them a belt because of their personal journey. This is something that is getting more like not my thing. Right? I'm interested in your jiu-jitsu. I want to see how good your jiu-jitsu is. And there is no excuse for not having the jiu-jitsu you need to have for the belt level that you want to have. We all got problems, right? We all have commitments. You need to be training smart. You need to be listening to your coaching. These are the things that will move your game forward and make you improve. So yeah, that's why I have that 2 to 3 year thing, is to give guys the time to mature now. And my only rule is, I say, if they win a major, they can come to me and they can ask for a belt. So if they win the Euros, they can turn around and they go, and I'll just...
There's no denying it. If you win a major,
yeah. What I would rather they go, looking forward to the next one. So if they win the Euros, they're like, Worlds is in 2 months. That's what I'd like to see. But I'd have no problem, because everyone will set their own ceiling on what they want to compete to. I'd have no problem with them, doing the other way. And I'd even say, that is the rule that I've set now. It's a major. But, that 2 year mark, let's say, I'd have no problem giving a guy a belt, in the 2 year mark, if he wins, let's say, the Irish Open. If let's say the Irish Open is the top of the sport here in Ireland, you can IBJJF or whatever, pick one. If he decides that is as far as he wants to go in the sport, as far as competition, he's not willing to travel, maybe he's afraid of flying, who knows, right? The idea of traveling and doing a major doesn't interest him, but this interests him. He's like, I'm a competitor, but I'm going to be a competitor within this kind of more narrow area, smaller pool. Cool. If he maxes out what he has set out to do, belt, let's go. And now let's do it again, but at the next belt level. But I'm trying to find that balance as a coach. It's my biggest thing over the last year, especially with this, waves of guys coming through the team that are just destroying. We had, I I'm just going on and on now. Sorry.
Go for it.
We
Go for it.
had Grappling Industries there recently, and you don't need a thick skin in this team because everyone's really nice, but you will get slagged. Like,
Oh, it's needed.
You have to.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is the kind of thing that people can take really, really serious. And if they take themselves really serious as well, it's awful. It's a terrible, terrible environment. It gets very, very weird, very toxic. So yeah, I mean, I put the boot in on everybody. And likewise the same, right? Like, I want my lads, like if I make a mistake in a round, and like, I absolutely just
Roasts.
I'm thinking of all the words that I don't want to say publicly or of how to describe it, but I have a bad moment, right? And like, I slip and I fall and the lad's on my back or something. What I want to hear next is, gotcha, bitch. Just like, that's from one of my students. Like, that's the kind of atmosphere you want, because it's fun. I think if everybody gets like that, you loosen up a bit and everybody can really start trying things, you know? Like, when I'm rolling with my guys, it doesn't bother me if I'm getting tapped. Genuinely, like, I'm delighted. You know, I want that. I want to be getting absolutely highlight reeled on these mats every day. That's my future. That's what I'm looking forward to. It's just getting smashed to bits, right? In ever more ridiculous ways, where guys are just disrespectfully beating my ass. I can't wait. That's what I'm here for. Because it means I'm doing my job right. And it's starting to happen now, right? I've got blue belts that are going like 1 for 1 with me when it comes to subs, and I'm all right. I think I'm all right at this game. They're just really, really fucking good and young and all the rest, and good looking. They've got grey hair, you know. They've got all the things going for them.
I don't have that. No.
I know, right? They have no idea. They have no idea.
They don't.
Bastards. That's why I don't like them. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is find that balance here within the team, where we're trying to find that sweet spot of letting guys fulfill their potential, top up that tank of motivation, and then just let the leash off. So I was saying earlier, I view belts as seasons now. So when I give someone a belt, if I give you a blue belt, I go, this is your blue belt season. You don't come into the Premier League as number 1. You come into the Premier League and you're probably fighting for relegation. You're probably fighting to stay up. And then the next season, unless you're Leicester, back in that glorious season, what's that, 2000? It's ridiculous. All right, but you come in, you're fighting to stay up, you're fighting to survive. Then you're starting to get in that mid-table. Then you're challenging. I think that's a 2-year to 3-year period, right? And I think finally, when you are the man, you are the guy at blue belt, at whatever, okay, it's time to move into the next season. We move from Division 1 to the Premier League, or Division 2 to Division 1. That's the way I view the belts now. So I'm trying to get everybody rowed in behind that. I'm trying to get everyone to really have that mindset when it comes to the belts, because I think if they do, everything gets better. Because I've seen the opposite. I've seen the opposite with guys where it's all hierarchy, and you know, I've seen it online. I've seen it in different gyms I've visited and stuff. It gets kind of a little bit more cliquey and hierarchy and all that kind of stuff. And I think that is a way to just kill the waves that are coming behind you. I want to do the opposite. I want every subsequent wave to get bigger and bigger and bigger until finally it's just unstoppable. It's a tsunami of just great jiu-jitsu players coming out of this team. So fingers crossed now. We're moving in the right direction. I'll let you know in a couple of years. Seems to be going well.
Perfect. And that's actually a great attitude even for a coach to have, because you said it there. Like, you're delighted when your students tap you. Whereas like you see in other gyms, like if a student gets like taps their like professor or teacher or whatever you want to call them, like that's not good. And you can see it's so off-putting. But having like that open mind, it's a great personality trait for any coach to have. So over the years, how have you kind of developed your style of coaching? Because before we did this episode, I did research, and one of the things you said in a previous interview, you want to be the best coach in the world. So how are you doing the building blocks to get there?
So for me, it's always a combination. It's replication and innovation is the two things that I'm trying to do. So I think, like, who the fuck am I, right? I'm just some guy who loves jiu-jitsu and loves MMA and kickboxing and everything else we do. I don't hold myself to that kind of regard that I think I know everything or even know most of it. I think I know very little of it. I think everyone else knows very little as well. They just may not realize it. So it's one of these things. I think there's so much innovation left in this game. You know, every single month you're seeing new things in this game. It's ridiculous. It's why it's so exciting. Even for me as a black belt, I'm 20 years in it now. I love it. I have this kind of, not a joke, but this description I kind of give to people where I say, you want to know what jiu-jitsu is? Jiu-jitsu is having 3 lifetimes to dedicate to it, right? 3 is all you get. You're on this planet. Let's say you get 100 years on each one. You're 300 years in. Every day you've been doing jiu-jitsu, right? You're on your deathbed. The plane is coming into land. And you're like, okay, at least I've learned all of that. And some fucking white belt is going to burst in the door and go, have you seen this new move? And you go, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, like, no. Like, it's just, there's so much innovation that's potentially there. And even within the stuff that's already innovated, we know so little, right? When I started doing jiu-jitsu in 2005 or 2006, so long ago, I can't remember when. So I'm either 19 or 20 years. But when I started doing jiu-jitsu 20 years ago, we didn't have any YouTube. Literally, there wasn't YouTube, right? So we didn't have YouTube. There was no Instagram. There's no anything. We didn't have any access to this. All the gis were guys who come back with a suitcase from America or Brazil, and they'd shove a couple of gis in for their mates that they got over there. Like, it was a totally different time. And I was on the tail end of that totally different time. There's guys who've been in there for a couple of years before me, and they can talk about it even more. I'm not the first wave. I'm more like second or third. But yeah, like, there's so much readily available information now. I'm still doing the same techniques that I was doing 20 years ago in some cases. And the difference of quality in that technique is absolutely insane, right? I have videos of me teaching around 2008, 2009, because I started, so when I mentioned earlier on about DCU, I had my kickboxing club, and we amalgamated the kickboxing club and what was the martial arts club, which was jiu-jitsu. And we were trying to make the DCU MMA club, which is still running now. And they wouldn't let us call it the MMA club. They didn't like the word. It was cage fighting, all that. So we called it the DCU Kickboxing and Grappling Club was the name of it for the first 8 or 9 years. And I have videos of me teaching them. The best stuff I had at the time, only a year, 2 years doing grappling, but it's the best stuff that I've been shown. So I'm showing this stuff, and looking at it now, I'm like, it's ridiculous, right? It's like being in close guard, 2 hands on the hips, arms straight. Guys, we push the hips down to the floor. We stick a knee in the middle of the ass. If someone does that to me now, I'm just like, done. Like, just pull the elbows. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. In fact, not only is it easy to stop, you're actually compromising yourself. Because when I pull your elbows, I'm going to pull in the close guard and use my legs. And now your hands are on the mat, overhook, collar tie, boom. And it's just going to be a cycle, which is probably going to end in you getting swept or submitted. So I'm looking back at that and I'm like, we just didn't know anything. Now, there were people who knew nothing at all. And then there was guys that just knew a load of bad stuff. And they were like gods. Like, they were killing you. Because even though their technique by today's standards was very poor, it's still miles ahead of someone who has no idea what they're doing at all, who's never even seen what an armbar is. So I think we just have so much available information now. It's what I said earlier on about, there's guys that I believe here in the gym have the potential to be the best in the world. Not in 2006, they didn't. No way, right? Because the information just wasn't there. It is here now. I talk about Professor YouTube all the time. I think he's brilliant. I think Professor YouTube is the greatest professor we've ever come across. Professor YouTube has more knowledge and more technique than any single human being on this planet. It's like having AI teach you jiu-jitsu, right? It's like that. It just knows it. And I think our job as coaches is to help people get the most out of Professor YouTube. It's not as much to show you your version or my version of this move. It's like, no, this is what a world champion does. You should probably use that one. So that's what I mean when I say, who the hell am I? So for me, coaching, the replication bit is about looking at what works at the highest level and seeing what's successful, making a judgment call on the new stuff that hasn't been proven yet, but your students are bringing it to you. They're like, check this out. What do you think about this? Boom. Like boogie chokes, for example, would be a good example. Someone does go, so's your boogie choke. You're like, okay, we just adjust this. No more boogie choke. Job done. That was easier said than done. But my boogie cherry hasn't been popped yet. In any training or anything, it's not happened yet. And an open invitation to
I was
anyone,
just going to say that. It's
anyone
an
that
open
wants
call.
to smoke. But like it changed. It's so cool because that one move has totally changed how I position myself in side control. right? Like I'll adjust my elbow position now because I need to keep the hips pinned so people can't roll up their spine to, so I don't care if they're flexible or not. If you can't get your pelvis off the floor, ain't no boogie choke on that side. And then guys start doing the other side, you have to adjust. So like it's cool that there's all these innovations, but you need to balance between the stuff that is proven and then figure out what stuff that's coming through the pipes, even if it's had some success, and be like, guys, this is the shit. We need to get on this. This is the thing we need to be working on. Or make a judgment call and be like, you know what? I know that worked in that match, but that's because he made a mistake rather than it being good. We need to learn it, but know it just so we can defend. I think Danaher said it well, where he said defense is about knowing a little about a lot. Offense is about knowing a lot about a little. So I think that is a big part of coaching. You need to figure out there's already a lot. How big does that a lot need to be? And then from an offensive perspective and like an effective game perspective, sort of help guys find what their niche is and what they'll be good at. There's no point in teaching some lad who's stiff as a board, berimbolos and everything else, and his K-guard, spinning the leg, all that jazz. You need to go, this game is more suited to you. It's the cool thing about the gym here, like everyone's game is totally different, right? So if I lined up 8 different blue belts in front of you here, they're all of them, not even like those 2 do that. It's not even 2. He does that, he does that, he does that, he does that, he does that. And that's part of the secret as well, is because they are all so different. They're all getting that experience of different games from each other. So, it's trying to innovate where necessary or where we can, and it's a very small area. I think if I come at this from the perspective of I'm going to change the game, we're going to innovate, I think you're going to probably waste your time and spend too much time going down the dead end. So I'm trying to find tiny little steps forward in areas that we can do. And a lot of the time I'll take a little step and realize, I don't know what I'm talking about. I go, that's not right. And I'll come back and we'll try and find something else. But then the biggest one is finding the stuff that's proven to work and trying to encourage people to focus on that and not focus on the stuff that isn't proven or focus on the stuff that's not going to carry them forward long term. The easy example that I use for that, I was a straight ankle lock guy for all of blue belt, like all I did, right? I don't know how many straight ankle lock finishes in competition, but it's probably somewhere over 40, right? And so as a blue belt, I had this dangerous weapon but I couldn't pass guard. I couldn't sweep. A single leg X, but I never would finish it. I just go straight to the foot there anyway. So couldn't really sweep. Didn't have a sweeping game. Didn't have a wrestling game. Had 1 takedown. Couldn't pass guard. Couldn't escape pins against anybody. Just didn't have a lot of jiu-jitsu. I just had focused in on this one area. So when I got to the end of blue belt, I got close a few times. I had some success. I did okay in competition. Won some tournaments and then lost some ones. The ones I wanted to win, I probably lost in the final. And then the ones that I was fairly relaxed about, I'd win all them by submission. You can guess which submission. And at the end of that process, I realized I didn't know any jiu-jitsu. I had very, very limited game. And in the gym, I'd be having success in competition, but then in the gym, I'd get smashed up by lads who were purple belts. And I developed as a result this sense that purple belts was like a different breed of person. Brown belts was just gods. Gods walking among men. Black belts, you wouldn't even roll with them. Like, what's the point? Wasting their time. And that's the total opposite of what I'm trying to develop as a coach. Like I said earlier, it's the weight I tell guys to focus on, not the belt. The belt is irrelevant. It's just the belt keeps your jacket closed. You buy a belt on eBay for $4.99. Tell people you're whatever you want to be. It's all good. It's the skill that matters. So I'm trying to encourage guys as a coach with that replication of, what we know works. I'm trying to guide guys to say, look, I know this is working for you now. I know you're having success. You just tap me with it. I know. Wow, what a moment, right? Is what I think most guys would think. I'm trying to go, it doesn't matter. What weight am I? Same weight as you? Great. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter from a black belt, brown belt, whatever. You tap me with that. It's still not going to be the best game for you to work on over the next couple of years, It's a hard message to get across. You couldn't have said it to me. If someone had come to me, and I'm sure someone probably did try and come to me when I was in my 20s and was winning tournaments with all this, you wouldn't have been able to tell me that. I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, right, gotcha. And then I just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm sure. But so I've had the conversations with guys myself, and either they've found their way out of here, you know, because it's not the conversation they want to have, to find their way out of the sport because they start getting into that frustrating period where they realize this is not good enough to really do the job at the higher level. Or, and I love this, I'd rather they had this revelation when I talk to them, but they'll come back to me like a year, 2 years later and be like, you know what I need to do? I need to start working more on the rest of my game. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Really?
About time.
Do you? Yeah, you know, no, genuinely, there is a bit of a, I've been waiting. Good to see you. Step into my office. I don't have an office. But I had an office yesterday. I had to have a chat with one of the lads. I stuck him by my car outside, turned the heating on. But yeah, I mean, that's often the best case scenario is when the guy kind of realizes that you're right and he comes back to you. Because I mean, I'm not right because I'm trying to be right. I'm right because I've done it. I've made that same mistake. I've limited myself as a grappler by being so hyper-focused on what was getting me that endorphin rush, that was getting me that dopamine hit in training. So yeah, just that's probably the biggest job as a coach, and that's what I'm trying to do, you know, to be the best coach I can be. When I say like I want to be the best coach in the world, I'm not just saying that because I like the sound of it. Like I live that. I am at every tournament I can possibly be at. I teach every class I can possibly teach. And I have to balance the rest of my life with family, 3 kids, all that kind of stuff. And I think my job as being the best coach I can be is not to know necessarily more techniques or just have this incredible understanding of one area of the game. It's to help lads maximize their potential. That's the only thing I'm interested in this game, right? Here's one for you. You should try to, you know what, don't do this because you're going to have this on the mic and you can keep this in if you want.
That's why I got the stands.
Oh, cool, right? Here's one thing that you can do. When you're talking to coaches, ask them what the hardest part of their job is.
Funny enough, I have a question for you. What's the hardest part of your job?
Well, the hardest part of my job is seeing guys not fulfill their potential or get in their own way and block themselves from fulfilling their potential. That is by far the hardest part of what I do. It is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I'm almost in tears thinking about it, right? There are people that I have met that are just otherworldly talented. Bullshit, like ridiculously talented, completely unfair. We all get the same deck of cards. Get out of here. Just living in a different realm to the rest of us when it comes to athleticism, how fast they pick things up or whatever. And they just can't get out of their own way, right? For whatever reason. There's many, you know, everyone has their own story and stuff like that. That is the hardest thing as a coach. If ever a coach says taxes or something like that, it's not a coach, it's a businessman that's running a gym, you know? The only question in my mind that should ever be acceptable to that crowd, or the only answer is that exact answer right there. It's not the losses, right? Because people are still winning when they lose. If someone's going out there to getting after it, they're doing everything they can, they're living right, they're eating right, they're part of a community, they're part of the gang, they're just getting after it, they're chasing goals, like it's passion, like they're just involved in passion. That's what they're doing. If that is the case, I don't care if they lose from the perspective of sadness. Like obviously we want to win, no question. But it's the guys who don't even get to the stage where they're chasing it that could, like this, I have met people that could be world champions in MMA, that could be world champions in Jiu Jitsu, and they just refuse to do the thing. And I wouldn't mind if they had something else they were doing. If they were like, I had this before, we had a guy, otherworldly talent as a striker. And he got to a point, he was like one of our several like national champions in kickboxing, Irish champ, that kind of stuff. And he just found another passion, and that he realized this is my thing. Like this was his thing, but then he realized like that is my thing. And I can 100% get behind that. I was like, great. You know, I'd love to have seen you do this, but it's not my life. I'm delighted that you found something that you're happy with. That's why I'm here. I was a personal trainer working in strength conditioning that I love. And the only thing I loved more than that is this. So I'm very greedy. I gave up a successful career doing the only other thing that I loved to do the one thing that I love more. So I'm all for that. But you see lads who have all this talent, who could do incredible things, who could shake up the world, and they don't do anything. And next thing, you're looking at their Instagram and it's a Tuesday and it's pictures of the pints with the whoever. There's often nobody else in the picture. It's just a picture of the pints or and it's very, very, very tough as a coach, because you develop relationships with people, whether they want to or not, whether you realize if you're here for the right reasons, if you're doing this job for the right reason, you want to see people succeed. You care. And that is the hardest part of being a coach. So my job and my goal to be the best coach in the world is to help as many people as come through my door. I can't control who comes in the door, right? I will try to, in what we do, we say a good player wins games, a good coach wins players, right? So I'm hoping in the future, as time goes on, that we develop that reputation, that people are like, this is the place to be. This is the gym to train in. These are the mats. You want to be here. There's magic in this room. That is going to come, and it has started, we definitely have that. But I think my goal is to make sure that people maximize their potential above anything else, that they don't, I'm not going to get in their way. I'm going to only help to surge them forward in the advice I give and the actions I do and the encouragement I give. So that, I think, is the key to being a coach. It's not about the technical knowledge. Everybody's technical knowledge. Professor YouTube is unrivaled. It's about helping people just take the right steps, deviate as little as possible off what is the best path. As I said, there's got to be a best way to do jiu-jitsu. Nobody has any idea what it is. That's why everyone's always tweaking, and this is the right way and that's the wrong way. I think the closer we can get to the right decisions at all these different turning points, the further that path is going to stretch, the higher someone's ceiling is going to be. So that's what I'm trying to do as a coach, is make sure people can get to the highest level they possibly can. And I push this with everybody. We've got people that train 1 day a week, and I'm like, I'm going to make you the best you can possibly be. And they're like, okay. And I can see it. They're like, all right, relax there, calm down. Look at these lads that train 5 days a week. And I'm like, yeah, that's them. Fuck them. Don't worry about them.
Just focus on you.
Yeah, they're a different thing. I'm going to make you the best 1 day a week jiu-jitsu practitioner that you can possibly be, right? Because that is what I am basing your grading on. I don't care about your personal circumstances. I do, as a friend. But if you're like, I can only get down 1 day a week because I've got, 3 kids and I've got the job and it's busy and, this is going on and blah, blah, my mother needs this or whatever. Great. That's not like a handicap that you get to put into your grading and be like, I'm a blue belt, but at the end of that black bar, it's got this little section that goes, I can only get down 1 day a week because I've got this,
Yeah.
You either are, you aren't. So I try and tell guys, you can still get really, really good at jiu-jitsu without training like a professional or training as a full-time athlete or anything like that. So that's what I'm trying to do as a coach. That's, when you hear me talking like that, that's my focus, is to try and figure out how to maximize everybody's progress. It's happening. Ain't nobody going to tell me it's not, right? Like, you see, we're a young team and we had COVID. We started in 2019. So October 2019, we got smashed by COVID in March of 2020. And then it took us time to build up and all that stuff, right? So anyway, long story short, we're still a very young team. We're only a few years in this game. And we've developed a group of blue belts and we've lost some. But we've developed a group of blue belts that are unquestionably world-class. Unquestionably, right? Like, there was lads, they know who they are. I'm going to name the names. But there was lads that we brought over to the Euros. And I was saying that they are the favourites for their division. It's just nobody in the world knows, because they haven't gone and done the IBJJF London Open or the Dublin Open or this kind of stuff. But they're killing everybody. Like, demolishing grappling industries divisions. And then if they're over at some open mat, or they'll do some ADCC where they'll go up against somebody who's several belts above them, and it's like, they're either wrecking them or subbing them, or it's a razor close decision. Maybe they get edged, but they shouldn't be getting edged. Like, they're 3 belt levels below the opponent. So we have that. And it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's 4 or 5 lads who I think are world class right now. And then behind them, we have, I call them the B team or the B squad. Again, you need the thick skin, but I don't mind saying it as it is here in the gym. We have lads who are just that layer behind, that are not training as long, or maybe haven't put as many hours in. And they're going in on the days that those lads don't compete in some divisions. They're going in and they're just wrecking the divisions because their teammate is not there to stop them. So we're doing it. It's happening. And I think these guys can be truly world class. I think they can be the best in the world, not the best in Ireland. They can be the best in the world. And that's what I'm trying to push them to fulfill that potential. If I, as a coach, can get them to lock in and stay locked in for long enough, I have no doubt at all they're going to destroy. Don't think anybody can stop them. So yeah, we need to keep that going. And if they're watching this, right, stay locked in. Don't be fucking around. Fulfill your potential. All right, you can do amazing things. All right, and says, you know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you. All right, if you don't know me, I'm not talking to you. Right, you can do amazing things. Absolutely incredible things in this sport, right? Just back yourself. Back yourself. That's the message that I try and get to everybody, and you can use this message for the thing if you want. I just tell people as a coach, my job is to tell you, just back yourself. You're a bad motherfucker. You just don't know it yet. Everybody's capable of doing incredible things in this sport. All the lads who reach the top of this sport, like take whoever you want. Here in Ireland, Conor McGregor, batshit crazy to everybody else, but he made it to the top of his sport, right? And you'll see all the highlights and the clips and stuff, and he's talking about The Secret, and he's talking about all these different things, and all these books I haven't read myself. But like, there's something to be said for just backing yourself and just going, you know what, I'm going to be the best I can be at this. And that might be a world champion, or it might not. That's what I'm doing as a coach right now. I'm openly saying I want to be the best coach in the world. I think a lot of people won't say that because they're like, I don't want to look like a fucking idiot, or Jesus, I am openly saying I am here to be the best coach in the world in everything that I do in this team. And I'm taking the steps. I'm doing everything in my control to try and make that happen. If my students come at this and they say the same thing, it's going to be unstoppable. And we have a few now, I think, that are there. A few guys who've kind of hit that mental point where they've questioned themselves. Am I good at this? Am I not good at this? And they have me in their ear going, you're deadly, right? Like I'm in their ear going, you can do this. You can do incredible things. And then next thing they have a little breakthrough. And that little breakthrough, even we're talking about earlier on today, we're talking about Fionn in the Euros, right? So we brought 5 lads over, myself included, right? I know one of your questions is about competing and coaching, and I'll get to that. Because there's no two ways around it. There is a reality there. So we had 5 guys go over, myself, and I brought 4 of our blue belts, 4 of our best blue belts, for sure. And if you're one of our blue belts, you're looking at this and you're like, oh, I wasn't there. Does that mean I'm not? Yes, it does mean you're not one of our best blue belts. Keep going.
It's something to work towards.
Yeah, exactly. Keep working. So we brought 4 of our best blue belts over, and Fionn was one of those dark horses in that group. He is one of those guys who's had good periods of competition. Like, he was doing great at white belt. He was kicking all the ass at white belt, and juvenile and stuff. And then he got the blue belt, and actually started, I think, kind of okay. And then had a bit of a dip where he was struggling a little bit in competition and stuff. And again, I'm still saying to him, like, I'm telling you, you're going to turn a corner here. And you were talking about the ADCC and his performances, right? Where he just gets better and better and better. He wins the intermediate division of ADCC, right? 3 months before that, had a disastrous day. On a day that I had a very good day. Just want to work that in. I had a really fantastic day. Fionn, not so much.
Just let the people know who they're talking to.
Yeah, exactly right. This is the 2025 Masters. So he didn't have a great day and massively underperformed. But I know, and he knows, massively underperformed what he's capable of. And he knows that. So he keeps coming back. He keeps working, gets better, gets tighter, begins to believe more and more in his game, starts winning divisions, wins the intermediate ADCC. And when he turned up for Euros this year, I'm telling you, it's poetry in motion. It's just art. Watching his highlight reel is genuinely, I'm watching it and I'm getting hyped watching it. I'm like, let's go, get me in. Can't wait to roll. Because he came at it and he just had this little bit of freedom, this bit of confidence. He was like, I'm going after these guys. I'm not here to take part. I'm here to take over. Right? So he came in with the right mindset, and it's just amazing how freeing that is. There's no way he got so much better in 6 months. There's no way. He was that good. 6 months ago, not that good, but like he was there. A lot of the moves he was doing in the Euros, he had at that point as well. But he was just freer to express it. And then we had guys who came over who are, and, you know, I'm sorry, better than Fionn right now. They're probably better as blue belts than Fionn is. And they were just a bit tighter in their game. They weren't as sure of themselves. They weren't as sure as the occasion. So we had guys that I said earlier, I think they were the favourites in their division. It's just that nobody else in the world knew. And neither did they. You know, just no matter what I say, they didn't think that they were as good as they are. So if those guys turn that corner like Fionn did, I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing to watch. Like, that's why I love what I do. I love turning it up. I'm just so excited. Like, I can't wait to see these guys actually just, like, I'm not saying they haven't locked in yet, but just, it's that moment, that little switch where they go, you know what? I'm actually really good. So that's what the next 6 months are for them. We have a grading coming up next weekend, and we have a bunch of lads that I'm sure anyone watching this who's a blue belt is going, God, I hope that they get their purple. I just, please, you know, they're not. They're not, because they're half of them aren't even 2 years of blue belt, yeah? They're just really good. And I want to give them that little sprint that they can go on to dominate their divisions, instead of just having like mostly good days, but then sometimes, you know, it doesn't go their way. I want them, this is a sport where you can be the best in the world and your percentages of winning can be like close to 100%. Look at a Gordon Ryan, look at a Roger Gracie, look at a, you know, those guys aren't going in going, oh gee, because it could go either way today. Who knows? You know, I think for people who are consistently competing at that level, it's very stressful. Every time you compete, you're like, oh, maybe I'll have a good day, maybe I'll have a bad day. I think it's a lot more fun to go in and be like, I'm going to have a good day today. And then when you don't, it's like, what happened there? I've got to go back to the drawing board and figure that out. Or maybe there's an extra burst of motivation. But I'm trying to give those guys now that 6 month stretch, you know, and some of them now who are not even close to 2 years, it'll be more than 6 months. They're already destroying a blue belt, but I'm going to give them the time to really try and see if they can dominate the divisions that they're in at their weight and at their belt, and then start doing a couple of side gigs, a couple of NICSUs in ADCC and absolute divisions and stuff. That's the way it should be done, I think. I think you're a blue belt, great, but why not go off there and win an advanced ADCC? You see some of the guys have done that. Some of the guys in Primal are a great example of this, just phenomenal level in the time they're training. So yeah, that's very long-winded way of trying to explain what I'm trying to do when I say I'm trying to be the best coach in the world. I think.
I know that
are we still in the right ballpark?
We are.
Sometimes I'm like Donald Trump. I can weave, but I don't bring it back. You know, that kind of way. I think Donald Trump, he brings the weave back and he kind of gets back on track. I'll just go off and it's like an airplane that's gone out of,
You do an ABC, you address, you bridge, and then you connect it.
Yeah, I wish you told me that before the podcast, or that would have been helpful. Yeah.
But no, it's a great answer though. And it's nearly like you want them to build the foundation of their skills, but also it's that mindset switch. You see it with so many people. Like, they could have the best, just say like De La Riva, best outside pass in the world, but they don't believe it. But they have to believe it. And once they do believe it,
yeah,
anything's possible.
Performance is when preparation and comfort meet. I have no idea if that's an actual quote, but it's mine now. Write that down. If you prepare well, you've done everything you can before the moment. And if you're comfortable, you're going to express yourself to the maximum ability in the moment. Most people are not comfortable in a competitive environment. I have been both recently. I was very comfortable back in June. Things have gone well. My preparation was okay, as good as it could be for the time I have available. And I was the opposite. Uncomfortable when I was in the Euros myself, right? I was still winning matches, but it just felt awful. It felt terrible. It was crap. I was telling you about it earlier on. Like, I'm there winning matches, submitting second seeds, and you can see me in the video after. It's just, I am shit. Like, just realizing I really wasn't firing. I'm even close to all cylinders. Like, that sensation of, why am I having such a down day? So that's what you're looking for a competitor. And I think the preparation bit is very much in your control as a coach. Like, I can make sure these boys are preparing right, and girls, I can make sure everyone is preparing. If they give me the time, if they just go, let's go. I'm putting myself out there for the process. I'm giving myself over to the process. I'm going to be here 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week. I will prepare them to the highest level that I possibly can, right? The comfort is in their control. They need to go out and they need to compete more. If they struggle with competition, nerves, anxiety, that kind of stuff, they got to go out and compete more. I saw the clip briefly. I think David was talking about this. There's nothing, David Zamora, give him the proper shout out. There's nothing more that you can like substitute for just competing regularly to build your game and stuff. It's not about building your game, in my opinion. I don't think your game gets better. I think your comfort level gets better, and then you're able to express your game, you know? Like there's days I'm on the mats now, 20 years in, where I'll hit sequences and moves here where you'll hear me, right? You'll know when it happens because it'll me go, woo! Like in the corner of the mats, I'll have done something that was super cool. Like, and I didn't really know much about it half the time, but it just happens. And I'm like, could be like spin an arm bar or something like that. And everybody in the gym knows, and this is kind of a thing in the gym, which I try and encourage, you know, I want that environment where you'll hear this in the corners, just little like Ric Flair, woo! And you'll know, you're like, something cool went, something happened over there, let's go. And you'll be asking later on, what was that about? But I have those moments and stuff in the gym regularly, but I don't think I'm as comfortable in competition. I still, like half the blue belts I have now have way more competitive matches than I have over 20 years for whatever injuries and blah, 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 blah. And just not getting after it when I should have got after it. But I think that is the key. I think it's preparation, comfort. Those two things come together, you've got performance. So that's the balancing act as a coach. I think it's very hard. The comfort one is tough as a coach. And this is what I mean. Like you have to break through the barrier of firstly having people that will just do everything they can to sabotage themselves. Like no matter what people tell them around them, they're like, oh no, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I was having a conversation yesterday. I was saying to you, it was my birthday yesterday. Hard to believe. 29 years old.
With 20 years jiu-jitsu experience.
Exactly. 39. And so all the Master 3 guys are going to get it now next year in January. That's right. January. No. I had one of the guys here from the gym, and he's gone through a hard time over the last while for whatever reasons. His reasons are his own. And he sends me a message. I'm assuming he didn't know it was my birthday. I hope he didn't know it was my birthday. But he decides to send me a message and go, listen, can I have a chat with you at the end of the training? And blah, cool. So he comes down and I get him into the car for a bit of heat because I was freezing cold. And I'm like, right, we're talking for an hour. I should be on the road back probably to the family and stuff, but we're talking for an hour. And the reason is because I know that this is a guy who has unbelievable potential, otherworldly. And just gets in his way a little bit. He says to himself, he knows himself. He's like, you know, I just keep doing his own thing. I think that is one side of the comfort thing. People being able to just overcome whatever barriers they create for themselves. It's almost never a barrier someone else creates for you. No one's locking you in your room and not letting you come train them. I hope. You know, there's numbers you can call if that's the case. It's some stupid excuse, right? It's like, oh, my Fortnite game was just lit, so I didn't want to move away from it. This is not for you as a competitor, right? There's that where guys just, then there's not about it. But then there's stuff where people just genuinely struggle and they get in their way. So I need the comfort to get someone to get on that track where they just see an open road ahead of them and the potential and like, oh, I can do this. I can actually go and do great things is one side of it. And then the other side of that comfort is the moment, you know, it's in the bright lights and all the rest. And those are the two things that you have to try and coach. And they're so difficult to coach. You can say it to people, but you know, it's, I think they have to have that moment. And what David was saying, I think is really important there, because I think one of the ways you can force it to happen is just compete an absolute load. Just compete like every opportunity you possibly get. And remember, nobody gives a shit. Nobody, if you're a blue, like I'm a Masters 2 black belt, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. My own students barely care, right? And I don't mean this in a bad way, right? They'd be like, oh, how'd your competition go? And I'd be like, oh, you won the whole thing. Just dominated, destroyed. You should have seen me. They're like, oh yeah, cool. Nobody's like, do you have video? Can I see it? Is it? Right? They barely care. And then how'd your competition go? Oh, just ate a dick. It was terrible. Right? It was just awful. They go, oh, okay, yeah. Well done. So try and tell people this, because we all build it up in our heads, like everyone eyes are on me and stuff like that. Or I think guys sometimes make this mistake of going too heavy into the social media side of things, and they create that for themselves even more. But Yeah, I think nobody really cares apart from you. Nobody cares as much as you do. I always joke, this is a joke. This is a joke. I want to be clear. I always tell guys, I'm your coach and I barely care. No, I care a shitload. But the point I'm trying to make is that if I care more than anybody. But having said that, when you have a bad day, I'm going to be okay next week. I'm going to be like playing with my kids or whatever. I'll have forgotten about it. It might genuinely, I'm probably worse than most coaches in that way. I could be sitting at the dinner table 2 days later thinking about that pass that you missed or something. And my wife is like, come on, what are you
doing?
Come on. Yeah, I know she's right. But, you know, a week from then, I'm going to have more or less forgot about it. You won't. If you're serious about this game, you're still going to be there and it's going to be great. And you should be upset. If this means something to you, you should be upset. It should body you. It should motivate you. It should force you to go and fix the mistakes and to, you know, do what you need to do with the problems. But yeah, the comfort side of things is so much harder than the preparation. Elite level preparation is easy. I've come to believe. I think the comfort of competition is the bit that's super, super tough. So that's what I'm trying to do here in the gym. I'm trying to encourage the guys in the environment we have. All of it together is to try and push each other to get like that.
So there is one question I would like to ask you. You're a coach in jiu-jitsu, MMA, striking, judo, probably plenty more that I don't know.
Capoeira.
Exactly. But what is your approach to building champions at Compound Martial Arts across all of these different disciplines? And what are the common principles you apply for all your students?
Cool. So we have had success across, you know, a lot of different sports. You know, we have MMA champions, professional MMA fighters, kickboxing champions, national champions, and then obviously jiu-jitsu we've talked about a lot. The biggest thing I always try and tell people, as far as the systems are concerned here, is just building the foundations. I think the foundations for everybody is a global thing. So in kickboxing, you need to have a good jab. You need to have good control of a center line. These are fundamental things in our systems that we try and expose everybody to in the gym. I think when you build that core, you build that spine in each individual sport, that gives people the ability to go on and put their own spin on it. So you'd have, like in kickboxing, somebody who's really likes range and likes kicking and likes stuff. That's great. If they build the foundation here, then they can sort of elaborate upon that themselves and they can work in their own games. The old Bruce Lee of, you know, take what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is essentially your own. I think that bit is very important. But my job as a coach is to make sure people are well-rounded, and well-rounded means solid fundamentals. So I find that kind of separates us. Like our kickboxing team is an example of that. We've only ever had in kickboxing, we've had 3 stoppage losses, and we'll have more, but we've only ever had 3 stoppage losses in hundreds of fights. One of them was because one of the lads got an ill-fitting mouth guard that kept falling out and the referee just got pissed off and said, fight's over. Another was just a flash knockdown out of a clinch, super short punch, in a fight that he was dominating. But the amount of stoppages that we've put on people the other way is huge. And I think that is 100% down. Like, that to me is a statistical demonstration of fundamentals. Like, our guys have really solid foundations. They're not getting caught with their chin floating in the air, you know, eating clean shots. They're human beings like everyone else. If they were eating huge clean shots, they'd be getting dropped, they'd be getting hurt. But they're generally in good position. They're generally at the right range. They're generally controlling the basics that they need to control. The same is true with jiu-jitsu here. You know, the guys, they do the basic stuff quite well. I think probably above the average well. And then they just put their own spin in it. Like, they just become amazing at certain guards or certain passing styles. And that's them. That's their thing. Like, I always try and tell people, my job as a coach, kind of similar to what we talked about earlier on, is to guide you and to help you maximize your progress, not to baby you and to give you everything and spoon feed you everything you need to be a champion. You will give yourself what you need to be a champion. You'll make the decisions based on your personality as to what style, what game suits you, what you want to envision yourself as. You think about your highlight reel that you want to have, that's the guards that you're going to play. You know, like, I could tell someone all day, every day that close guard is the shit. Just, you got to get elite at close guard, man. That's it. But if you just don't like close guard, you're never going to put the reps in. You're never going to be at home doing the research, watching the match footage, watching the instructionals, asking the questions. So that I think is without giving away the secret, thankfully, that is our secret, that our fundamentals and our foundations are very strong. And most people, when they come through this team, they buy into it. That's the biggest thing, that the buy-in is there. So guys realize we haven't got as good as we have in these areas by accident. If it was by accident, the wheels would have fallen off at this stage. It's because we've stuck to that for years. And it's something that we're trying to get better at. I always say, for me and my development in my own game, even as a coach in my own game, the biggest development for me was actually taking time to work on fundamentals. Like, I went from being somebody who could maybe tap someone 10 times around with straight ankle locks or, quick arm bars or something like that, but would also be getting tapped a lot, to now someone who, because I've worked on my fundamentals, I might only tap someone once in a round. I might not tap them at all. Maybe I'm working on positional stuff or whatever, but I'm very, very difficult to submit. That's kind of like a reputation thing now, but that's purely because of fundamentals, not because I'm not special in any way, shape or form, not even good. I'm just very solid with the fundamental side of the game, or not even solid. I've just put a ton of work into it. And my students are doing the same across all the sports. We have systems for MMA, systems for wall wrestling that are really good. And we know it's good because we've seen the effect of them in fights, right? We got lots of guys who don't even train with us that are, coming to us asking our guys, what are you doing here? Same is true in jiu-jitsu. We have things we do in terms of how we run class to help develop it. And then, kickboxing, I think the basics of kickboxing are easy to understand, a lot more maybe than jiu-jitsu. Control the center line, dominate the distance. We have a saying, he who controls the distance controls the damage. These are the kind of things that you'll hear here in the gym all the time. So yeah, that's the key. Good fundamentals. And I think it works across everything that we do, every sport.
Awesome. Oisin, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. So much knowledge packed into it. Some tangents from both myself and you.
Mostly from me. That's okay.
But the final question I have, if anyone was interested in maybe come down, getting a bit of training with yourselves, maybe attending Fionn's open mats on a Sunday.
Legendary open mat.
Exactly.
Say it right.
The legendary open mat. I have to put the emphasis with the finger going like this. But what's the best place to reach you online?
We're on Instagram, Compound Martial Arts. So everything's Compound Martial Arts. And we have a website, compoundmartialarts.com. Which, as I said before, I made that website. I'm very proud of it. I have no idea how I did it. I couldn't do it again if you asked me to right now. I've forgotten it all. It was a COVID project, but yeah, so we have a website there as well. In general, our doors are always open. Anyone that ever wants to come and train with us, you're very, very welcome. We don't do open mats apart from the Sunday open mat session with Fionn at 7 o'clock. It's a competitor open mat for jiu-jitsu. If you want some good rounds, that's definitely the place to be. I keep threatening to come down and sort some people out in it myself, but then I see the bodies that are on the mats and I go, no, thank you. I don't want that smoke. But yeah, you're very welcome to come down to that anytime you want. Just get in contact with Fionn or reach out to the gym. And our policy here in the gym, it's an open door policy. Absolutely open door policy. So anybody can come in. Everybody's first day is free here. That's not just for beginners looking to start their training. That's for advanced competitors looking to come down and just get some good rounds. So you're very welcome. Just come on in and we'll make sure you get some high quality training. And the more the merrier. We're here to all get better together. The main goal for us is just to improve. So if you're bringing something that's going to add to that mix, we're more than happy to download your data. 100%, we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron.
And if you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast and you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I would greatly appreciate if you would leave me a 5-star review. And if you're watching it on YouTube, please remember to like, share and subscribe. And Oisin, once again, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.